Life Management Science Labs would like to acknowledge that we live and produce this podcast on the traditional lands of the Wurundjeri people. We'd also like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the lands of our listeners and our international colleagues. We'd like to thank and pay our respects to their elders past, present, and emerging. Hi everyone, and welcome to Room by Room, the Home Organisation Science Insights podcast, produced by LMSL, the Life Management Science Labs. We're champions of life management science, providing structured insights informed by science and inspired by practice on key aspects of conscious living. Each week we bring you scientific and practical insights on each element, with the expert knowledge of professionals in the field. I'm your host, Gabriella Yastra, coming to you from Naarm, Melbourne, Australia. Let's begin.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the show. I'm your host, Sabrina Oktavelia. We all crave a clean, organized space, but between work, social commitments, and sheer exhaustion, keeping up with home sanitation can feel overwhelming. We push it to later, but later never comes. Yet, what if I told you that small intentional habits could transform your space without draining your time and energy? That organization isn't about perfection, it's about making your home work for you and not against you. Today, we'll talk about the real challenges of maintaining sanitation at home, why it feels so difficult, and most importantly, how to create a system that makes cleanliness effortless. Because a well kept home isn't just about aesthetics, it's about a peace of mind. And in today's episode, we'll discuss sanitation at home, organizing amidst the challenges. Here we are joined by Dr. Oluwaseyi Popogbe. And Dr. Oluwaseyi Popogbe had a first class in economics from Crawford University, where she currently lectures in the Department of Economics. She got her master's and Ph.D. in economics from the University of Lagos. Her PhD thesis focused on providing an analytical measure and revealing the dynamics of social exclusion and poverty in Lagos State slums. Her core areas of research include development economics, environmental economics, and monetary economics. Welcome to the show, Shay.
It is my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
It is my pleasure to have you in the show today. And can you tell us a little bit more about your background in economics and what sparked your interest?
Right. So I remember vividly. So basically, as you mentioned, my first, second, and third degrees, are in economics. And
Mm-hmm.
I remember days in high school when my economics teacher would come into the class and, she would, you know, teach the course in a way that is relatable. We could actually practically relate the course to what is happening in the economy. And I felt there must be something interesting about this particular course. She would come into the class, talk about money. I remember as a little child, I would feel, why can't the government provide, produce money and let it just be available for everybody to use? And then this woman made me know that, it doesn't work that way. Money has to be scarce for it to have value. So, that's kind of caught my attention. It's got my interest, and I felt, okay, I think this is what I want to study at the university level. So that was actually the foundation of what triggered. And of course, when I went for my first degree in economics, the interest got, more interested because, at that level, I observed that there are different branches. So you can actually focus more on just
Mm-hmm.
monetary economics. You can focus on development economics. You have international trade economics. You have human resources.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a lot. So, I kind of got interested again. Okay, so I think this is what I really want to do. And then so at the master's level, I was able to, really focus on the development parts of economics with a touch of public finance. At the PhD level, I also focused on economics, but this time around, I specialized in development economics. And what actually what caught my
Mm-hmm.
fancy was the fact that development economics has to do with the challenges of developing economies rather. And, I'm a Nigerian. Nigeria is a
Mm.
developing economy. So I was actually particularly interested in seeing how I can contribute my research quota into the development of Nigeria and other African countries. So that was what actually led to, my, focusing or specializing in development economics.
I see. So there's actually a lot of branches that you mentioned in economics. And can you tell me how it relates to our topic for the day? Because we are currently talking about sanitation. And how does sanitation relate to
Okay,
economics?
fantastic. So when permit me to take you back to my PhD thesis. So at the point of writing my thesis, I remember, of course, you'd have to do a lot of reading when it comes to writing. You read before you write. So I remember at the point of reading up the
Yeah.
literature, I was really, just fascinated by the various issues that I was coming across. But something really fascinated me, and that was a multidimensional poverty index, the MPI. And I felt,
Mm,
okay, maybe this is one area I really want to, focus upon, because somehow I live in Lagos, and I have seen the way people kind of underestimate poverty in Lagos, because Lagos is the city hub of Nigeria, one of the fastest growing economies in Africa. So people kind of
ah,
underestimate that, there is poverty in Lagos. In fact, at the point in time when the multidimensional poverty index of Nigeria was released, Lagos State had the lowest. So it kind of created a picture of, wealth, a picture where there is inclusion, where everybody is, included in the economy. There is no poverty, but it is not the truth. In reality, there are many people living in
mm,
slums, living in informal settlements in Lagos State. And in fact, statistics has it
yeah.
that over two-thirds of Lagos State residents live in informal settlements. So, and if you
Mm,
go into these slums, if you go into this settlement, you see deplorable standard of living. It is nothing to write home about. You see people living in
ah,
abject poverty. And these people, I really don't know if they were really considered at the point of, you know, um, of measuring the multidimensional poverty index for Lagos, but it's very obvious that somehow they must have been excluded, because when you talk of, so basically the multidimensional poverty index has three dimensions, three broad dimensions: education, health, and living standards. Under the living standards, there are six
living standards.
indicators. Yes. So sanitation basically is one of the indicators. So you see why I really got interested when I saw the topic, because it was something I could relate to, something that I was able to really relate to at the point of my field work, while visiting the slums, while visiting the informal settlements in Lagos. So it's basically an important aspect of, you know, um, of poverty index, which falls under development economics.
Okay, Shay, thank you very much for your explanation on the poverty index and how sanitation actually is it's a level. Sorry, it's not a level. Okay, I'll just reset that as well. So, index, there you go. Okay. Oh, all right. So thank you very much, Shay, for explaining very well in regards to the connection between how poverty is and your degree, economics, as well as how sanitation comes to play in the poverty. And before we dive deeper into the topic, we have this segment called Have You Met Shay? So in this segment, we would like to get to know you better, and first question that we have is what is your favorite book?
Okay, my favorite book. Okay, so basically, I'm not sure I have one favorite book, but I've read a couple of interesting
Mhm.
books, But I think one that has really, you know, caught my attention in the recent past. Well, yeah, I've read the book before, but somehow I
Mhm.
think last year I came across the book again, and I kind of really got interested, and I could relate to many of the issues raised in the book. Why Nations Fail, written by
Mm.
James and Robbins. Yes, Why Nations Fail. So basically, the book is very interesting, and it
Why?
talks about why developing nations fail, basically structural issues, political deficiencies, economic deficiencies, Many developing nations are trying to pattern their economic structures in such a way that it looks like they are competing with the developed economies. But in reality, they have structural
Mm,
problems that need to be
yeah.
addressed. So, and even if you read through the literature, if you read through many research works, have revealed why governance quality, institutional quality is very important for economic development. So these are salient issues that developing economies need to consider, when they are if they are really interested or serious about economic development. So, there is a wide gap between the
Mm,
rich and the poor. And if care is not taken, the rich will keep getting richer, the poor will keep getting poorer. So basically the book is very interesting, and I think you can actually relate it, especially you can relate to some of the issues raised in it, especially if you live in one of these developing economies.
I see. So it's a book that explains about the gaps, the social gaps and the economic gaps that are in the society. That's a really interesting one. And what movie have you enjoyed recently?
Okay, so I think during the festive season, this last December,
Ooh.
I watched
Hmm.
a particular movie that actually intrigued me. The title of the movie is
Yeah.
The Choice. The Choice. So the film basically um, yeah, not like I do not know before watching the movie that it's important to take ownership of your choices. But somehow that
Hmm.
film, gave me a different perspective in that my choices do not just affect me, it indirectly affects those around me. And that once I have a full conviction about the choice I'm about to make, irrespective of what other people think, irrespective of what other people say, I should take ownership of my choice. I should go for it. I should not allow anybody, I should not allow anybody to threaten me or make me feel less of myself in the choice I am making. So, yeah, that film kind of still resonates with me, even in other decision making processes that I have to go through as an individual. That, I have this conviction and I think I'm going for it.
That's really great because that type of movie gives you a sense of self reflection and taking a
Right.
step back and looking back at how you live.
Right.
And are you listening to any podcasts at the moment?
At the moment, no. But sometimes last year, I listened to a couple of podcasts, but more was from a friend of mine, Grow with Matilda. So
Hmm.
it helps with personal growth, spiritual growth, how to, just grow up and, build your spirit man. So it was one podcast I listened to a couple of times last year. Unfortunately, she's not released anyone this year, so I've not listened to any this year.
I see. And do you have any role model that you look up to?
Yes, yes. I have Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala. She's the Director General of the World Trade Organization. She's a Nigerian, and she also read
Oh,
economics. Yes, she read economics, and I'm kind of fascinated because as a woman, if she could attain that height in her career, then I'm motivated that you know if only I'm ready to put in the hard work, I can reach the peak of my career. So yes, she's a big motivation to me.
indeed, she's broken the glass ceiling and achieved the title of being a director at the World Trade Organization is something that's really astonishing. Wow. Okay. Now we can go. Thank you very much for your answers for this section. And now we are going to go and dive deep into our topic, which is sanitation at home, organizing amidst the challenges. So, for starters, how would you define home organization, Shay?
Okay, so in my definition, home organization is basically an act of keeping the home front clean, organized,
Mm.
welcoming at every point in time. So it is not a one-off act. It is a periodic or a consistent act in making sure that the home is welcoming, at every point in time.
I see. So it's not a one-time thing, but something that we constantly do in making the house a home. And in the context of home organization, how would you define sanitation?
So basically, sanitation is more about, cleaning out the dirt, decluttering,
Yeah.
making sure that household items, and personal belongings are kept appropriately, keeping everywhere clean.
Mm,
That's basically sanitation.
I see. So cleanliness, tidiness, and pretty much hygiene.
Right.
And in what ways does sanitation affect the overall productivity and efficiency of a household?
Okay, so let me create this scenario. Imagine walking
Mm-hmm.
into a very busy kitchen where you have dirty plates on the sink, unwashed pots all over, dirty oven, dirty cooker, dirty um, dirty water heater. You can just imagine the mess
Mm-hmm.
that kitchen would be in, and just try to imagine the motivation you know, that individual will really need to gather before working in that kind of space. And the implication is that if an individual is not motivated to work in that kind of dirty environment, man hour time is being lost. So
Mm-hmm.
even for individual productivity, that individual will struggle, to really get things done on time in that kind of space. But take
Mm,
a look at another kitchen, well laid out, clean, every item, properly placed where they should be. The pots are clean, ready to use, the plates are clean. And then this
mm-hmm.
individual walks into the kitchen space. The motivation is there. The individual is, willing and ready to work. And before you know what is happening, before a very short period of time, this individual gets what he or she has to do done, within the shortest possible time. But imagine, even if you don't have to start cleaning immediately, the 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 stress or the emotional stress that accompanies seeing a dirty space is enough time consuming. You will see yourself laid back. That energy to work will just not be there. So, when proper sanitation is not ensured in the home, then individual productivity will also drop, because the time you should have spent, doing what you have to do, you first spend that time ruminating over how you need to get your space sorted, and then clean up all that you have to clean before you finally get what you have to get done. So yeah, it's just as basic as that.
I see. So in a more cluttered space, we would have need to put some extra time into cleaning and decluttering, and compared to our work. So our work time will decrease. So it would be less efficient in our workplaces. And what are the potential implications and costs of poor sanitation and hygiene practices at home?
Right. So there are direct and indirect costs and implications. When you talk about the home, there are various parts. We have the living room, the bedroom, the kitchen, the bathroom. At least those are some of the basic rooms that we have in the home, for any standard living space. So you can imagine that if starting from the kitchen, starting from the living room, if items are placed, you know, inappropriately, you have toys on the floor, personal items on the chair,
Mhm.
everywhere is messed up, any individual could trample over the toy on the floor, and that would lead to a fall, causing home accidents. Imagine entering a dirty bathroom, and then when you're done using the washroom on your way out, because the bathroom is dirty, it has accumulated dirt over a period of time, the individual sleeps, it causes home accidents. And then imagine going into a dirty kitchen and you having to cook from a dirty kitchen. Imagine dirt entering the food that is being cooked. That will cause food poisoning. So you can just imagine how not maintaining
Mm.
sanitation in different parts of the home can lead to, one problem or the other. And aside all of this, there are cost implications. So here in Africa, at least I'm very sure of Nigeria, the out of pocket health
Mm-hmm.
expenditure is very high. And it's the same in many developing economies. We have people spending so much on health expenditure. So you can imagine that if proper sanitation is not maintained
Yeah.
at home, they would have to spend more on health expenditure. you know so it also has its cost implication. So you can imagine that having to treat injuries from a fall would impact on the expense for somebody in a month. So all of these issues are interrelated, and somehow of course, no one ever envisages that accidents will happen. But imagine something as small as a fall happening in the home front, leading to fracture or some other serious injuries, and the impact that would have on the budget of an individual. So, these are some of the basic issues that people should consider when it comes to sanitation. That it is beyond you just trying to keep your space clean. It goes as far as ensuring that you do not have to spend an extra money on health expenditure. Imagine cooking
Mm-hmm.
from a dirty kitchen, and then there is an outbreak of food poisoning, and every member of the household suffer from this outbreak. It's going to be a lot. So these are some of the issues that people should consider when we talk about sanitation. And
Mm-hmm.
lastly, I would also like to point out the fact that emotional stress is also one of the implication.
Emotional
In
stress.
fact, yes, according to the World Health Organization, there is a strong linkage between emotional stress and poorly managed environment. So when proper sanitation is not maintained, there is a very high probability that individuals in that space will suffer from emotional stress. So these are issues that should be out of the way if proper sanitation is maintained.
I see. But at times, not a lot of people think about the implications and all of these poor implications, such as health and costs. And one of the reasons for that is our laziness, and a lot of people procrastinate in cleaning. So, what role does self motivation play in maintaining the sanitation at home?
Yeah, truth is, we all live in a busy world. I'm yet to find that country where people are not very busy, and you know, you can
Hmm.
just wake up in the morning, have your breakfast, just lay back on your bed, and then at the end of the month or at the end of the day, money comes into your account. There is really no such country. People
Hmm.
have to go all out, get busy, and then get the money earned. So it's a busy world. In fact, if you know of a country where people can just, sleep, wake, eat, and then they have money in their account, please let me know. I'd be interested in relocating to such a country. So, it's a very busy world. Everybody needs that motivation to work. If you're not motivated, you cannot keep a clean space. So the motivation for me, let me personalize it. The motivation for me, because we all are busy. Yes, sometimes I go out in the morning, I am back in the evening, tired, exhausted. But I always remind myself, if you don't get this thing done now, it will accumulate. And then you will still have to come back and do the greater job.
Indeed.
So, yes, so why not just, get this thing done and let it get out of the way? So just muster that small energy and, get the bits that have to be done. But another thing that also works is that the thing with sanitation really is that When you keep it simple, it's easier to manage than when you allow things to accumulate, when you allow the dirt to accumulate, when you allow the plates to pile up. It's easier to wash a couple of plates and just get them out of the way than just saying, "Oh no, I'm tired. I'd rather do this tomorrow," and then you leave the place to accumulate. It's it's easier said than done. That there is really no free day. Every day is busy. So you just maximize the little time you have, get things done, and that way you know that the work waiting for you the next day wouldn't be as much as if you had left the work for today undone.
Mm, indeed. And as we talk about self motivation and how to make that self motivation, what are some of the common challenges other than procrastination in maintaining sanitation at homes? For example, cost, time, and lack of education.
Right. Okay, so let me go back to the slums that I did mention at the very beginning in Lagos State. If you enter some slums in Lagos State, you would observe that
Mm-hmm.
there is a common challenge across all
Mm-hmm.
of these slums. One is substandard housing settlements. Another important one is the lack of education. Many household
Mm-hmm.
heads do not have any formal education. Unfortunately, they are passing on um, this very bad habit to their children. Many of them are not allowed to
Yeah.
go to schools. So it's a ripple
Oh.
effect. So these children also grow up and then they do not send their own children to school and then it becomes a generational thing. So lack of education is a basic problem in the slums. Many of them are not educated. And because of that, they have a very poor mindset. If you enter some of the spaces they live, you wonder how they cope. You wonder how they live in such a condition. Many of them feel dread is part of life. In fact, I've heard somebody, I really don't know how common it is in Australia or in other, advanced countries where you have rats, mice
Yeah.
living in the household. So you can imagine that
Mm.
you are entering your room and then you see the rats all around. But then for these people, they
Oh.
feel it is a norm. They don't see anything bad in it. They feel it is absolutely normal to have these little things living with you in the house, cockroaches, rats, and all these other rodents that are bred by poor sanitation. They really do not,
Mm-hmm.
or they really cannot comprehend that when the environment is not properly cleaned, rodents will start breeding in the house. So, lack of education can also, just trying to let you know that lack of education can make people have a very poor mindset to maintaining proper hygiene or proper sanitation in the house. Another point I would like to also mention is the fact that there are many false cultural beliefs that make people feel that certain practices are really not necessary. Like, I think I read a study last year from Singh, yes, Singh in 2024 mentioned that in some cultures, household members should come together. They believe that when household members come together to eat from a common bowl, it shows that there is strong bond in that household. It shows that there is a form of togetherness. It shows unity. But they do not consider that sometimes some people who are eating from that same bowl do not have clean hands. They've not washed their hands. Some may be carrying
Mm.
germs. Some may be
Yeah.
having communicable diseases. And then they all feel, no, you
Mm.
just have to come together and eat from the same bowl. And then they pass on, even they pass on sicknesses to each other. So these are, the issues that accompany not being educated, not being exposed, not having enough knowledge about how to maintain proper hygiene in the house. And I must also mention time. Time, yes, it's easy to say that just get these things done, ensure things don't accumulate. Honestly, time constraints is there. We all have just 24 hours a day, to get all that we have
Yeah.
to do done, and then you just have to find a way of maximizing the 24 hours. So the time constraint is there sometimes to get some of these things done. But like I mentioned earlier, if you ensure that you get your work done, on the go, then you don't really have to worry that, okay, you would have to spend so much time ensuring that you carry out proper sanitation in the house.
Mm. I see. As we mentioned just now, there are plenty of challenges, including costs, time, and especially lack of education for people to understand the importance of sanitation. And some of these individuals may not be in the best position to maintain perfect sanitation at home. Maybe they have mental issues or they have disabilities. And what advice would you offer in these situations?
Get help. Simply get help. You know, in this part of the world, and permit me to keep using the case of Nigeria because, I live here and I see how people try to ensure proper sanitation. Right here in Nigeria, we have people in the informal sector, people who are willing to work for few hours to come help you get your home cleaned. So we have people who are willing,
Mm.
yes, and they are paid per hour. Sometimes they are paid per day, depending on how long they work. So they come in, they help you organize your space. Sometimes they even help you do the market runs just to relieve you of all of those, tasks. So when people are not in the best position to do these things on
Yeah.
their own, the best thing for them to do is to get help. Another very important thing that can be done,
Mhm.
of course, you can imagine that in a regular household, you would have children, you would have some younger people, you would have possibly your spouse or some other people living within the household. Get everyone engaged. You really do not have to do the job yourself. You really do not have to do the job yourself.
Mm.
Get everybody engaged. So in my home, I try to even engage my kids. So, okay, you do this, you do this. Just
Mm.
ensure that they all are involved. Because in the end, you're also raising these other people to become responsible adults. So these people also grow up and
Indeed.
then they are able to keep their space clean because they have learnt it from you. But imagine if you have to do all the work alone. You get up in the morning, you're the one, doing the cooking, you're the one trying to prepare the kids for school, you're the one trying to ensure the bathroom is clean. It's going to be a lot. And then you come back in the evening, you're the one trying to run around, trying to wash the plates, trying to do the dishes, trying to,
Yeah.
do the cooking. It's going to drain you emotionally, it's going to drain you mentally. So get everybody involved. If you're not in that position to get these things done, ensure that you get people in the household committed to doing these things. And let me quickly chip in that it is very important
Mm.
to ensure that these individuals stay motivated. Some people have this very bad habit of always complaining. There is nothing you do for them that ever satisfies them. They keep complaining, you did not watch this very well, you did not do this very well. No. Try as much as possible to encourage people, to motivate them so that, they would be encouraged to help you, you know, another time. So because by the time you
I
nag
see.
and you complain, then
Mhm.
even if you're crippled, nobody wants to help, next time. So really just get everybody engaged, motivate them. And I tell you, you really don't have to do the work yourself. Get people and then get help.
I see. And for individuals who live alone, are there any cleaning or organizing methods like the KonMari method that actually work long term? Because not a lot of people have family members around who can help around in the house.
Right. So there are many cleaning tools, cleaning equipment. We have cleaning agents. We have organizations
Yes.
who even specialize in professional cleaning. I'm sure that you would
Hmm.
have such, you know, I'm sure you would have such in Australia and other parts of the world. So some organizations specialize in home management, home organization. That is their own
Mm.
area of specialization. So you can actually engage the services of such, organizations, such individuals to ensure that the home space is clean. And we have cleaning agents, we have cleaning materials very much available in the market. We have
Mm-hmm.
we have materials that would also aid, cleaning, aid sanitation in the home. So you really do not have to do all the washings and stuff. Of course, we live in this world where we are in. Technology has made living easier. You don't have to do washing
Yeah.
yourself, dishwashers. We have the washing machine for washing your clothes. You have a couple of, equipment that can make your living easier. So even if these people are living alone, they can get the services of professional organizations. They can invest in buying these tools, just to make their cleaning easier. And of course, there are many cleaning agents available in the market, that make cleaning easy. You don't have to do the scrubbing all alone. And then at the end of the day, you're all stressed, all worked up, and then you're passing aggression to everybody. And then people
Mm-hmm.
feel, well, you brought this upon yourself. So really, just make use of, what you have and you'll be
Yeah.
fine.
I see. And after like hiring these people and helping and asking for help in cleaning our house, how can we create a cleaning system that works for us in maintaining that cleanliness, that sanitation in the house?
Good. That's a beautiful question. So first, I'm an advocate of decluttering. You do not have to have, things that you really do not need. Keep them away. You don't have to have your space all occupied, busy, and then not like you really need these items. So periodically declutter your space. The items that
Mm-hmm.
you feel you do not need, give them out. I know in advanced countries you can put up some items for sale. Yeah, in this part of the world, we really do not have that opportunity. Yeah, I hear that in some communities they do stuff like that, but in most parts of Nigeria, you do not have the opportunity to put up your items for sale. So what people do is they give
Yeah.
their items out to other people who really need them. So they give out their items. Sometimes they trash when they feel those items are no longer useful. So just decluttering is a very important habit. People should try to declutter all the time. And another thing is keep it simple, like I said. When kids come back from school or people come back from their places of work, they should not just fling their handbag anywhere they like. The shoes all over, stockings all over, the clothes anywhere they say no. Items should be kept properly. So you can just picture a family coming back from work, from school, from wherever they've gone to, and then they're entering their home. The kids come into the sitting room. Their their lunch bags, their lunch boxes, their bags left in the sitting room. The father comes in, removes his shoes, his suits, and leaves them lying on the floor on the couch. The mother comes, brings her bag, drops on the chair. Just imagine how messed up that living room would be. And then
Mm.
just try to imagine a family coming in again. The kids come in, enter the kitchen, drop off their lunch boxes, enter their room, arrange their shoes properly. The father comes in, gets into the room, arranges shoes properly. The mother comes in, arranges her shoes properly, and keeps her bag away properly. The living room is not,
Mm.
you know, the
I
living room
see.
is not scattered. Everywhere is still clean. No effort has been made. Remember, nobody has done anything special, but people have taken responsibility to arranging things properly and putting things away properly. So that habit is very important. By the time everybody takes responsibility for home organization, it is not an individual work. By the time other people do not take responsibility, then it becomes somebody's headache. Somebody will have to ensure that the home is well organized and kept clean. But by the time everybody
Mm-hmm.
takes responsibility, and they know that if we don't get these things done, either mommy or daddy or the nanny would suffer for it, then everybody will sit up and then they would ensure that, the home is organized and kept it. So decluttering is one, and everybody takes ownership of home organization. That is also another.
I see. So it's more of the habit creation of people putting things in their place so it can become more efficient in terms of sanitation and home organization. And I'd like to go back to our talk about the kitchen. You did mention about the clean kitchen, how people get motivated with the clean kitchen, and the clean as you go approach is quite popular amongst chefs and restaurant workers. And in what ways can we apply this to our homes and home organization?
Okay, right. So the clean as you go approach is quite appropriate. And personally, I would also encourage it. Yeah, yes, some people say that they'd rather leave all the dishes and do the washing at once. But like I said initially, these habits take time. By the time you
Hmm.
leave plates and other dishes unwashed and they all pile up, it's going to take extra efforts and extra cleaning efforts to ensure that those plates and those dishes are clean. But imagine that
Yeah.
in the process of cooking in the kitchen, as you're cooking, you're ensuring that the plates used and other items used are cleaned. At the end of the day, you really do not have much washing to do. The same thing applies to our
Mm,
clothing. Some people have the habit of piling up dirty clothes. You can't even enter their bedrooms. Back
yeah.
to the slums I did make mention of, when you enter some of these spaces, you see some, okay, so here in Nigeria, we have these um, big bowls that people use for storing water because in some parts of, even in Lagos states, many parts still do not have access to potable water. So they have to buy water and then store up for usage. So you see these people trying to store up their dirty clothes in a bowl for a long period of time. And then at the end of the week or at the end of some days, they bring out the clothes and then they spend hours washing and washing and washing. So it's really not advisable to, you know, of course, we're talking about individual productivity. You can't get
Yeah.
productive
Yeah.
if you have to spend so much time attending to household chores that have piled up over time. So just as you know, just keep it simple. You don't have to do the heavy washing. What personally works for me is that even right in my bathroom, what I do is that I do not have to do the thorough cleaning. So I have somebody who comes around once in a while to help me do real thorough cleaning. But I really do not have to wait for that person. So what I do once in a while is that, or basically almost
Mhm.
every day, like every other day, once I'm done using the bathroom. Simple scrub. It doesn't have to be thorough, just to ensure that the floor is not slippery to avoid a fall. So just keep the bathroom clean. You know, Under 5, 10 minutes, I'm done doing all I want to do. But of course, I get that sometimes it is important that you have the thorough cleaning. You have somebody coming in to help you. Like I said, you don't really have to do everything yourself. And of course, if you really want to do the proper thorough cleaning, you may need to get help. So, but you don't have to wait for that help. Sometimes you just keep it simple. As you're cooking, you wash. As you're using the bathroom, you ensure that everywhere is clean. You don't leave the soap lat on the bathroom walls. You don't leave
Yeah.
everywhere messy. You ensure that the
Hmm.
next person coming into the bathroom finds that bathroom in good use. You know, that's how to
Indeed.
just live. And then it makes living easier.
I see. So it's the more we clean as we go, it reduces the workload at the end of the day or at the end of the week. And I'd like to talk regarding the products and people's knowledge in terms of cleaning supplies, where marketing and advertising plays a huge role in false beliefs. And one of the example is Scrub Daddy Sponge, which has grown quite a massive cult following. And despite its limitations and exorbitant price tag, it is a great example of this. So, from an economics perspective, what advice do you have for making more informed choices about the products that we use and the way that we use them?
Interesting question. Okay, so let me start with Scrub Daddy Sponge. What actually brought this particular product to limelight? If you remember, it was a Shark Tank. So
Yeah,
before
it's a
the
Shark
Shark
Tank
Tank
product.
event, I'm not sure people really knew about the product. But somehow, yeah, they got the bid and they went into the market and boom, everybody's talking about sponge daddy scrub, scrub daddy sponge, sponge
Yeah.
daddy, scrub daddy sponge. And
Uh-huh.
then, people, started talking about the product. And right now, do you know that even on TikTok, it has over 4 million followers? Like, it's that
Yeah, they're really good
massive.
on TikTok.
Yes, that's massive. Yeah, I would say that the product is actually a very good product. I wouldn't castigate
Mm.
or say something demeaning about the product, but the truth remains that there are other substitutes in the market with
Yeah.
lower prices. And yeah, I get that people have a thing for brand name. Some people would rather do, the very expensive wristwatches because they have brand names,
Uh-huh.
known brand names compared to other wristwatches that are unknown. But in the end, there is something called utility in economics. Utility means
Yeah.
deriving satisfaction from a particular product or service being rendered. So
Yeah.
if you're getting satisfaction for a product, why go for a very expensive product because you just really have the money or because the product has a brand name that people just like to, mention? It's not advice. It is not economical. With the economics also has this concept of opportunity cost. If I do
Opportunity
not buy this
cost.
product, yes, if I do not buy this product, what is, the cost involved in not buying this
Mm.
product and the benefits I'll derive if I buy the product? And what is the opportunity cost involved or the cost involved in buying another product and the benefits I'll derive from that product? If the cost benefit is not too wide for the product that is unbranded, why not go for it than go for the one that has a brand name that has very high cost and no benefits? In the end, the most important thing is that you gain value for your money. But if there is a wide gap between the costs and the benefits,
Yeah.
then it doesn't just make economic sense. So people should not, you know, I'm not, in fact, in Nigeria, where you have, I keep saying that in many developing countries, you have this very wide gap between the rich and the poor. And when
Yeah.
you really look at the lifestyle of the rich people, it's more like try to live on, live exorbitantly. So you see them trying to do the
Yeah.
big cars, they want to ride the big cars, they want to use the branded, items, they want to, when they're in the society, they want to shake their hand so that you see that they are not just using a low graded wristwatch, they are using
Any
the brand
watch.
name, the Swatch, Rolex, and the likes. It's always about the brand name, but in the end, it's about you having utility for what you are using. Sometimes some of these products that are even very expensive do not last very long. Yes, it's that bad. I've experienced it before. So it's basically about utility and ensuring that you get economic value for what you are spending money on. It's not about, this is what it's not the in thing. And then some people are are suffering from peer pressure. Some people also have, I don't know if you've heard of living, keeping up with the Joneses. Some people just want to feel among, some do not want to feel left
Yeah.
behind, some just want to do things because others are doing it, not because they really have the means to do it. So these are some of the things people should consider when it comes to sanitation at home. They should go for, there are actually products that will do the work for you. They really don't have to be the branded, items, but there are many other items out there that will do the work for you, and you just have to pay minimal amount to get these items.
I see. Especially for cleaning items and cleaning supplies, sometimes the difference is not that far off, and the price per unit is much cheaper when if it's not a branded product. And can you share some simple, realistic habit that make keeping a clean home easier?
Okay. Okay, so I think I've actually tried to chip in some of these habits in my past discussions. So for me, one basic habit is that I ensure that, like I mentioned earlier, I clean as I go, and I keep the sanitation at home simple as much as possible. I get everybody involved. You can't be in my space and you're late. Everybody has to be, it's actually for me, it shows that you're a part of the home. If you're not a part of the home, then you should have actually been living somewhere else or possibly outside the, but as much as you are in this home space with me, then you just have to get involved. You know, get everybody involved. That helps me a lot. I do not have to do all the job myself. And then decluttering is something that also works for me. It makes sometimes when my wardrobe gets, overly crowded, I feel no, something's just have to leave this space. So it helps me mentally. There is this calmness, that comes with entering a very well arranged home space. So yeah, it's a very important one. And yes, there is also another thing that I would like to chip in, an important habit that people really try to overlook. And that is maybe here in Nigeria, the availability of water. I did mention earlier that
Mm-hmm.
in some communities, they do not have access to potable water. And
Mm,
if you really want to ensure proper sanitation, you cannot overemphasize the importance of water. Water is a very important ingredient when it comes to cleaning. So people need to be very
indeed.
intentional about, water storage, ensuring that they have adequate water all the time to ensure that they do their cleaning properly. So yeah, those are basic habits that can help in practicing home sanitation.
I see. So water, keeping everyone involved and keeping on decluttering, um, like in a weekly or monthly basis. And if anyone would like to pick on one, just one of these habits, which one would you recommend for everyone to practice it?
Get everybody involved.
Getting everyone involved.
Right.
I see. That's a really great one because we have been talking about how keeping everyone involved actually keeps the house cleaner and it will keep good sanitation for longer. And I really do enjoy that. But are there any challenges when you want to start creating that habit in the house into getting people involved?
Sure, surely. See, we all are differently wired and differently made.
Mm-hmm.
We all have different personalities, and you do not expect that everybody would have that mindset of, yeah, it's important to clean as you go. It's important to declutter. It's important to ensure that the home space is organized. Some people have the mentality that just leave everything. We'll come back and just get them done once and for
Yeah,
all. So we are all differently wired. So it's always sometimes a challenge, trying to ensure that people get involved, trying to ensure that you bring everybody on board or everybody supports you in cleaning the house. Sometimes people are not even motivated. And let's be realistic, it's easier saying all of these things than done. Sometimes the motivation is not just there. You don't just want to do anything. Personally,
yeah,
sometimes I come in and I'm exhausted. I don't even want to lift a finger. It's that bad. So sometimes the
sometimes.
motivation is not there. Yes, so sometimes even for the individuals at home, they are not motivated, they are tired after a long day. Some
Hmm.
are just not interested. They just want to have their time for themselves and do some other things. So yes, those are some of the challenges that come with, trying to ensure people get involved or help out in maintaining proper sanitation.
Okay, Shay, thank you very much for your insight, especially in terms of sanitation and keeping the house clean and your recommendation in getting everyone in the house involved. And now we are going to the segment of open mic where you can talk about anything that you're passionate about and it doesn't have to be related to the topic. And the stage is yours, Shay.
Okay. Okay, once again, I'm happy to join you this morning from Nigeria. And yeah, about me, I know you when you were reading my profile, you talked much about the lecturing aspect, the research aspect.
Yeah.
But there is also an aspect about me that you don't know, and that's in the area of consulting. So
Consulting.
yeah,
Ooh.
so I do research consultants, you know, in some research, I'm sorry, some consulting organizations, helping them to, you know, to carry out economic analysis on some monetary statistics in the economy and how these statistics can impact on the businesses. So,
Mm,
here in Nigeria, just of recent, the exchange rates, started becoming stable. But in the past year, we experienced issues of unstable or fluctuating exchange rates where the foreign exchange market was very volatile. So people were
mm,
unsure of whether to invest or not. People were unsure of, whether to carry out certain businesses, especially those that involve importing and exporting. So that's kind of, you know, um, discouraged people, because of the fluctuation. And then, of course, the inflation aspect is also there, increase in prices. But then it has been observed that over time, there are certain periods, there are certain
mm.
periods where you expect that food prices will crash. And then there are certain periods where food prices will also go high. So these are issues that I also look at, and it helps in providing consulting services to some businesses who are interested in carrying out certain businesses or certain services in the economy. And yeah, another thing about me is that I watch comedy skits a lot. So
Com-
somehow,
comedy
yes,
skits.
yes. So I just like when I'm stressed out, when I'm tired, I just want to relax and then get on my YouTube and
Yeah.
little skit that will just relax my nerves, make me laugh, and then I just want to enjoy the moment. So yes, I do comedy. Sometimes people see me and they're like, "You have a very serious face,"
Yeah.
but they really did not know me in my private corners where I just want to be by myself, laugh out the stress, and just enjoy the moment. Yes, so that's one thing about me too. And then yes, so I've had about 10 years in teaching. So yes, I joined Crawford in 2014, and yes, I've had the opportunity of lecturing students. So what I
Yeah.
do is that aside lecturing, I try to maintain a very cordial relationship with my students. So it's beyond the lecturing. I feel the lecturing career is more of a mentorship, profession. It's
Indeed.
beyond just coming to the class, teach the topic, and then go. No, it's as much as it goes as far as impacting individuals' life. So I go to that length of ensuring that I have personal relationship with many of my students. Many of them reach out even on personal issues. You're done teaching the topics in class, but then they come back telling you that, okay, Ma, can I see you for this very personal issue? So you take on the position of a counselor, as it were. So it's beyond the lecturer thing. So yeah, that's one aspect I also really, really enjoy, because I get to counsel young people, and you can imagine the satisfaction that you derive when you see these young people come back to tell you that, oh, thank you so much for that piece of advice. It's really helped me in making this decision. It's really helped me, to becoming a better, person. So these are things that really encourage me. In Nigeria, the lecturing profession is poorly paid. Yeah, so many people are really advocating that lecturers' salary should be reviewed, because they are not well remunerated. So it's, if you really want to consider the salary, you won't be encouraged. So it's beyond the pay. It's more like the impact that is being made, which for me far outweighs the monetary benefits. Yes, so those are the other aspects that
Wow.
I think you should know about me.
You are doing wonderful work, Shay. Besides lecturing, you also do consulting and impacting the lives of others to the fact that they want to actually share their personal lives. Okay. And if our listeners want to find out more about you, Shay, where should they go?
Okay, so if people want to reach me, I am actively available on LinkedIn and Instagram. So on LinkedIn, my profile name is Oluwaseyi Popogbe, and on Instagram, it is Seyi Pops. And yes, my email account is also always available, popogbeseyi@gmail.com.
I see. Thank you very much for sharing. And especially for our listeners, if they want to reach out to you, you can go to Oluwaseyi Popogbe. I think I'm saying it correctly this time. Okay, that's wonderful. And that is it for our episode today. Thank you everyone for tuning in, and I'll catch you on the next episode.
You've been listening to Room by Room, produced by the Home Organization Science Labs, a division of LMSL, the Life Management Science Labs. More episodes like this from across 10 life management perspectives can be found by searching LMSL on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, and other podcasting apps available on your smart devices. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider rating our show, sharing it, and subscribing to our channel, as it helps other people find it so we can grow and bring you more quality resources. More of our work can be found on our website at ho.lmsl.net, where you can join our movement. I'm Gabriella Yastra. Thanks for tuning in.